another episode of Dope Chats with Stretch. I am Stretch, yours truly, your 6'6" phenomenon. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. Here we go. Which member of Migos did not have a verse on their song Bad and Bougie?
No idea.
Come on.
I have no idea. I know the Migos had a song called Tasty. Stir Fry.
What up, everybody? How you feel? Welcome to another dope edition of Dope Chats with Stretch. Give yourself a round of applause because you're hanging out with yours truly as we continue to give you what you need on a good Wednesday night. This is season 4. This is the premiere episode. And, hey, we're a little late, but it's all good because I am with my brother. We've known each other for, I think probably since 99. Maybe 2000 or so, but my man has done everything. Everything. He's an established radio personality. He is a Emmy-nominated news anchor, and he's positioned himself to being on the television, man. So he's taking his work off of the mic from off of radio, and now his mug is seen every night on the radio down at good old Jackson, Mississippi. He is a news anchor for WAPT News 16. Please, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Troy Johnson. Hey, Troy, you're muted. You muted. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Oh no.
Does that work?
There we go. Troy, you're back.
Okay, there we go. Hey, I saw a lot of hand movement. I saw a lot of this going on.
Yeah,
so I know it was an incredible intro that I didn't get to hear.
Oh, man. Ladies and gentlemen, Rewind Selector. Tonight, I am honored to have one of my good friends. We've known each other since, I believe, 2000. Maybe 99, 2000 when I moved back.
You wouldn't told it. You wouldn't told it, huh?
I know, man. But back then we both had hair, Troy, and
so this is how this show is gonna go, huh? We're gonna talk about when I used to have hair, when I used to.
Oh man, but nonetheless, this man he's an OG. He's a bona fide superstar. One of my big brothers that I look up to from my time in radio, and now he has transitioned his talents over to the news, and a passion I believe is yours as much as anything that you do is a passion of yours. And you can watch him if you're in good old Jackson, Mississippi, and you can stream and check out the news down there and see him live doing his thing as he is the news anchor for WAPT Channel 16 ABC in Jackson, Mississippi. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Troy Johnson. Mr. Troy Johnson.
Stretch, the 6'6" phenomenon.
How about that?
How you doing, man?
Everything is good, man. How about yourself?
Man, I can't complain. It's in the middle of my day, right. But it's been a good one. I've been looking forward to this, man, because since you want to tell the whole tale about the year 2000 and the lack of hair follicles that we share, it's been a long time since we've had a good conversation, man. So I'm ready for a dope chat. I really don't even know what you're going to ask me. I don't know. I've been racking my brain like, what is this guy going to talk to me about? So I'm as excited as anybody else to be in on this.
So a lot of times, I'll send out just some traditional questions, but I was like, we've known each other for such a long time. Absolutely. I don't need to go through the formalities. We just gonna have a sit down and just talk, mano y mano.
Yeah.
And just vibe out, man, because like you said, it's been a minute since we actually had a time or a chance to sit down and converse. So I'm looking forward to it, man. So with that being said, I don't know about you. I know, and first of all, I'm gonna apologize to those who are watching. We had a little technical difficulty, and we are going to blame StreamYard for that. We're going to blame StreamYard. Yeah. But we're here nonetheless. It is a good Wednesday night, and Troy, it is the opening night, or the second opening night, I should say, or the second night of the NBA. And I know you're a big sports fan, such as myself, and we have a love for our beloved Baltimore Ravens.
Yes.
What the hell is happening, Troy? What is happening?
You know, first of all, this has to be said. Pay that man. And you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Lamar Jackson. You must pay that man. You know, I know there's a lot of criticism about, especially how he handled this last game. You know, at the end of the game, throwing a ball away. I didn't like that, but that doesn't take away from his abilities and talents and what's to come.
Right.
We have to fix some things right now. There's something going on in the fourth quarter that is problematic, and you know, I don't know what the answer is. I also have to say I'm not quite sure. You know, there were two LA Rams last year that are sitting on the couch right now, but we signed the other one. How to come we didn't get Odell Beckham if we're going to sign LA Rams?
Yeah,
we got Deshaun Jackson, which I don't understand that move either. A lot of things in disarray, but I will say this: the Ravens are still at the top of the AFC North. We're going to play Cleveland this weekend. This is a chance to solidify that position. And, you know, you can't go anywhere in the playoffs unless you win your division. So now is the time to kind of, you know, as Ray Lewis would say, buckle your chin scrap and get things fixed up, you know, buckle your chin scrap.
Oh, man. But yeah, you're absolutely right, man. And, you know, I was just, because I know, and we're going to dig into it, you know, from your time in Baltimore, when we both worked at 92Q. Shout out to 92Q. Shout out to all the good folks that we had the pleasure of working with, man. I love those times, Troy, because it was a moment in time in radio, I think, where, you know, we were not only just co-workers, but it was a very family-oriented sort of vibe. You know what I mean? We all cheered each other on. Yeah. We may have our little beefs and squabbles, whatever like that. But who doesn't? Like that's what family does. But we all looked out for one another at the end of the day. And let's get into it. How your thought process on how radio is now, and what drove you from, I guess, not, you know, from doing radio, but more or less made you take that pivot into television and get into news.
Well, you know, we were on the tail end of probably what you could really say was a golden age, especially of Black radio. And, you know, if you don't know, or folks don't know, I'm a second generation broadcaster. So, you know, I worked for my dad, who was a program director of a radio station. And he also, that was his primary thing. He was a program director, did an afternoon show, wildly popular guy, won a lot of awards. But he also did a little bit of TV. When I was growing up, he did weather, also did some entertainment reporting. So I kind of got a chance to see him up close working in both of those environments. And it always interested me as a young kid. But we were kind of on the tail end of a really golden age of radio. When I worked in St. Louis, and I worked with a guy you probably never heard of, but a guy named Jockenstein, for example, who was, for people in Baltimore, was like he was the equivalent of Reggie Reg before there ever was a Reggie Reg.
Right.
No, he would travel across the country with George Clinton and P-Funk. And that's who gave him his name. So, you know, I got a chance to interact with a lot of older cats in my journey. And, you know, my experience in St. Louis, my experience working with my dad and seeing him, you know, have an air staff, and also our time at 92Q was just incredible. It was a lot like a family. And I think that, you know, much like many corporations, many sectors, things change quite a bit now. There's no more WKRP necessarily anymore. Right. You know, that family environment, like, where's Les Nessman? You know, we don't have that anymore. It's for better or for worse. I'm sure bean counters are saying we have more efficient places, and, you know, we can maximize certain talent and use them, you know, maybe in a kind of what feels like syndication. But I argue you take something away when you don't have local shows and local people who are really able to interact with the community. And, you know, and with Black radio, it's as much, at least in my experience, it's as much what you play on the air as what you do while you're on the air and what you do after you get off the air. You know, with the Big Fat Morning Show, we were, you know, when we'd get off the air, we were going to schools. We were talking to kids. We were talking to people, you know, on a daily basis. It was much more than just, okay, I'm done with my air shift, I see you tomorrow. You know, it was a lot more connection to the good and the bad that was happening in the city. I miss that a lot. But I also knew that, in to answer your question about making this transition to news, I was sharing this with a friend the other day. I'll try to make a short version of the story. But I remember probably 2005, 2006, doing the show. We were just in the studio on the air. And I kind of was like, you know, your self shows up on your shoulder. Like, is this it? Like, I asked the question to myself, how does this end?
Yeah.
You know, we're a #1 morning show. Our numbers are crazy. We're, you know, #1 with multiple demos. We, you know, for the record, outperformed Frank Ski when he was in mornings, and double the time. He was there for about 4 years. We were there for about 8. So we supplanted all the other excellent talent that was there. And I was like, do we stay here for 20 years and then, you know, say goodbye? Do we get fired? Which is what happened to me. I didn't know what was going to happen. So I was like, maybe there's something else that I want to do. And news and information had always been interesting to me. So that's where the journey to this, you know, being a news anchor in Jackson kind of led me.
Man, I mean, you have such a really profound sort of like, you know, background, like you said, from starting off working with your dad and, you know, doing radio in St. Louis, and then, you know, matriculating over to Baltimore but the main thing that I would say that I really dug and respected about you, Mark and Marva, is that you hit on it, is that you came to a city, you know, so I know Marv is from Baltimore, but you and Mark came to a city and grabbed it like it's like that lost child that just came home to Nana, and you know, and you held on to it tight and became a fixture, you know what I mean? Because based off of the great work that you all did in the community, to the breakfast flakes, to you know, your pop-ups on the wire here and there, like you know, folks will continue to talk about you all in high regards because it just wasn't, you know, again, like you said, it wasn't a job to come in there and just do your shift and be like, all right, peace, I'm gone. He's like, yo, we're going to be about this community. We got it. You know what I'm saying? Because back then, even though, you know, being I'm from Baltimore too, you know, it gets a bad rap, right? It always gets a bad rap, but it's a great place full of great, interesting people and a lot of characters nonetheless. But I just want to, you know, congratulate you, and first and foremost, but for doing that and still being a fixture in the community, even though you're not there anymore, but you're still there.
Man, Baltimore is quite a place. I fell in love with it immediately upon arrival. And but you're absolutely right. One of the first things I remember, the first night, I think this might have been when I auditioned to come to 92Q. I was staying at the Tremont Hotel.
Okay, shout out to the Tremont.
Tremont, what you know about that those burger cookies that they had in the deli? But anyway, I was walking out and I may have already auditioned. It was probably like I had a day to kind of check out. You know, I was walking around the Inner Harbor and all that stuff, and as I was leaving the hotel, somebody on the cleaning crew asked me, you know, I was asking, how do you get to such and such? And they were like, oh, you're not from here? I'm like, no, I may end up living here. Like, why are you gonna move to Baltimore? Like, it was like the first person I talked to from Baltimore, and they're like, Why are you gonna move here? And I said, you know, well, I may end up working for 92Q. And they were like, oh, 92Q. You know, and they were like, yes, you know, that's my station. So I knew that, you know, there was a connection. I knew that there were people that you know, had different expectations for their hometown.
Right.
And I've lived in different places where, people are critical of what is going on because they've experienced better situations.
Right.
And they wonder why it's not the way it used to be.
Right.
So that was kind of my introduction. And I knew that you just got to meet people where they are. And working with Mark and Marva could be the absolute highlight of my life and career. They're still friends of mine. We're brothers and sisters. I mean, really, I shouldn't even say friends. It was always much more than just being work colleagues.
Right.
You know, and what made it so special really wasn't a program director coming in and saying, this is what I want you guys to do. It happened organically. We were all really on the same page about how we wanted to approach the task at hand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we knew how to do good radio, but we knew that there had to be a connection to the community. You have to, as we used to say all the time, to borrow from KRS-One, edutainment. You have to edutain people.
Yeah.
You have them, they're going to listen to the music because they like it, but if you have someone's ear, can we tell them about, you know, how to access, you know, money for college, or what do you need to know about buying your first home, or what do you need to know about the election that's coming up? These are all things that make a community a better place, you know, and we just inherently, that fit right along with a Breakfast Flake song, that fit right along with any comedy bit that we did. They were interchangeable.
Man, well, like I said, man, I thank y'all for, you know, first and foremost, you made me a better jock. You know what I mean? And I don't even, you know, and it's funny because we don't even use those terminologies anymore. You know, what's a jock? You know, it's like, but y'all made me a better jock because I was the spoiled youngin', you know, who came back after graduating from college.
Yes.
They said, yeah, man, go on to Cleveland. We want you to do that night. I was like, I don't like Cleveland. I need to come back. So when I came back and have an opportunity to, you know, to continue to learn from you all, even though I was still young, I was young, but I had been in the game for a minute. But still, nonetheless, but you're never too old to learn something new.
Well, and I'll be sending you an invoice too for that for that master class that we get.
Yeah, no doubt. But let's talk more now because of where you are now. So now you're in Jackson, and of course we know some of the interesting and just outlandish things that have been happening in your neck of the woods, especially from this water issue.
Yeah.
Can you give us an update on what's happening now regarding the water issue in Jackson?
So we are several months now into this water situation that started with some flooding that impacted one of the water plants. And you know, that triggered a situation. Everybody's been following it. You know, it triggered a loss of water pressure, and other problems were exposed with the water plant, and left people without water, including me. I'm a resident of Jackson, for more than a month. And you know, we had this emergency order from the federal government to try to help out. The state took over the water system. And along with that, you know, there of course are plenty of questions about how do we get to this point and what's going to happen next. Right now, there are still crews that are working to make upgrades and fixes to the water plant. But in terms of, you know, long term, who's going to staff the place? How much is it going to cost to fix it? It's more than the other thing I have to say is it's more than just a water plant failure. Mm-hmm. You're talking about decades and decades and decades of infrastructure issues that have to be fixed as well. You can fix a water plant, the water can come out perfect, but once it goes into the pipes in the rest of the city, what's going on with that? So that has to be addressed as well. And
Right.
you know, there have been numbers thrown around as much as $1 to $2 billion to fix what's going on.
Wow.
So there's who's going to help pay for it. You know, there's a lot of back and forth between the governor and the mayor. They don't get along very well. So it's still in flux. It's still unresolved is probably the best way that I can put it. There's a lot more work that needs to be done, and it's going to take some time to get it done.
And which I still find to be sort of just outrageous in the year 2022, with a flourishing, city such as Jackson. Yes, I get it. It's in the South and things of that nature, but still, it's 2022. Why are the citizens still being treated with such disregard, especially for something simple and easy and that should be simple and accessible to get, such as running water?
There will of course have to be, it's already started, a lot of finger pointing as to who did what and why and who this and that. I mean, you can start though with the historical issues that you have here and in other predominantly Black communities. I was on with another Baltimorean, Farai Shadeh, who you might be familiar with, who does some stuff with NPR. And I talked to her about the historical issues that many African-American communities have. This is a city that I shared with her that this is a city that was 50% white in the 80s, in the mid 80s. Now it's 82% Black.
Wow.
So, you have white flight, you have people moving to the suburbs. There are a lot of layers. I don't want to take up all the time to address all of the layers, but educate, when schools were desegregation happened, a lot of white parents didn't want their kids going to school with Black kids. So they moved out of the Jackson public school system. They moved their kids out of the city. They moved them into academies and other schools, that were segregated in the early 70s. And when they pushed out into those suburban areas, they still kind of relied on the Jackson water system, but it strained the system. The system was kind of expanded out beyond its maybe capacity level.
Right.
And then you add 45 years on that with a lot of, neglect and a lot of repairs that didn't happen, multiple mayors, multiple administrations not really addressing those issues. And then you get to the point where you have failures and there's just no long-term fix for it. But you can see where the origin was, among other things. This is not a place that has been focused on by a lot of folks who have the power to make those changes happen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's to be continued.
So sort of like the case of the forgotten.
Yes. Yeah, you can put it that way. That's one way to say it.
It's quite sad. But you know what, Troy? The person I blame is none other than Brett Favre. Brett Favre, and I know from a national standpoint, it's gotten a little bit of buzz. Some news media picked up on it. Of course, ESPN did a little something. Fox, Shannon talk. Thank God for Shannon Sharp, because he put it on Front Street. But how have you all been covering the debacle known as Brett Favre?
Well, what you may or may not know about, I think Brett Favre has become the centerpiece of this scandal. Mm-hmm. But in terms of fraud, this is the largest fraud scandal in the state's history. So what I'm about to tell you is, that Brett Favre has been connected to $5 million of money that was directed towards welfare recipients in what is called the TANF fund. And he used that money. He has been reported, pressed the governor for those funds, and he got the funds, and they built a volleyball stadium at the University of Southern Mississippi. So that's the $5 million. But what a lot of people, because the focus has largely been on Brett Favre, a lot of people don't know that there was misuse of more than $77 million
Wow.
Brett Favre got $5 million.
Wow.
There are the person who ran the Department of the DHS, I should say, because I'm going to get the acronym wrong, is now serving 32 years in prison because he kind of controlled a good bit of that money. You may know the name DiBiase.
Yeah,
Ted
the $1 million
DiBiase.
man. 10 million. Yeah.
He, his son, were also connected to the misuse of a lot of that money. There's a woman named Nancy New who is facing some significant charges and has started to talk a lot about what happened in terms of the former governor Phil Bryant and Brett Favre's kind of connection there. So there are a lot more tentacles to come, and what is really so egregious is why people are likely angry with Brett Favre and rightly angry about the rest of this is it's not $77 million from the state of Mississippi's coffers. These are dollars that were for the poorest of the poor in the poorest state in the country. And, the repercussions, I sat in on I was at the State House the other day listening into a hearing with Democratic lawmakers who were trying to figure out, how do we reform this and what happens next. What has kind of systematically happened is in some states, the information that they were sharing is, some governors in some states and some legislatures have made it very difficult for people to get these kinds of resources to help each other, to help their families. They put, as the case is here, they require people to show that they're looking for work, and they require people to maybe be subjected to drug testing. They're poor, though. Their main issue is that they are poor, but they're being subjected to other things, which may scare some people and even wanting to apply. 90% of the people, which was said in this hearing, 90% of the applicants have been denied in this program in a state where I think they said there are currently maybe 2,100-ish participants in this program, and there are more than 200,000 children that live below the poverty line. So they've made the system very difficult to be accessed. And that creates a situation where the money is not going out to the people who need it, in some cases maybe by design. So that creates a situation where maybe some people feel like we're not pushing this money out so we can do what we want with it. But people are left hurting in the end is kind of what ultimately is what we're finding out.
Yeah, it's the exact sentiment of having that proverbial foot on your neck, because they know that they're in position to disperse this money. But why would they want to do that? Because they still have that power to hold people down. And then they said, well, you know what? The money's not really being used, so let me kick it to boom, 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 and so everyone else can get rich, or not even rich, but get fed off of money that's supposed to go to the despair, the poor
folks that need it. There are more controls, it appears right now, more controls on people who are trying to access the money that need it than there are people who control it to give it to them.
Well, let's talk because we, like you just said, we're getting ready to come up on an election, and I'm not keen on who's running for what in Mississippi and Jackson to be exact. But are there any folks who are running who seem to be candidates that can help change what's going on? Or has the quote unquote man who shall remain nameless minions still running sort of amok in Jackson?
Well, Mississippi is a red state, as much as Maryland, for example, is a blue state. So most of the elected officials here, all with the exception of one, Benny Thompson, who is, of course, in charge of the January 6th committee. He's the only Democrat in Congress. All the other Democrats, or all the other Congress people are Republican. All the state elected offices are Republican, lieutenant governor, auditor, agriculture commissioner, whatever the big jobs are. So it's kind of, if I put on my political science hat, it's a little bit more, it's a little harder to kind of break through if you have a different viewpoint than what many of the elected voters have. Right. Now, this is a state that is also has the highest percentage of African Americans. It's 40% Black. But you have gerrymandering and some things that put a lock on the way certain seats are safe and certain seats are not safe for whoever. Right. So you have representation, but do you have representation in a full level? In the legislature, you have Republican control, both the Senate and the House, in the state House. So you have to, I'm not advocating for any party. I'm saying that wherever you live, whoever your representative is, all the way from dog catcher up to governor, I think citizens have to be vocal about what their concerns are. And, I think many times voters, and I've seen this because I've interacted with a lot of Black voters in terms of doing stories and stuff like that and having conversations. Sometimes they're not engaged until it's time to go vote. But what about the 3 years that you had in office, sir or ma'am, prior to that? Right. Are you getting them? And that's something that we talked about on the Big Fat Morning Show when I was much more vocal about politics. Right. That I'm in now, that's not my thing. But I always talked about the fact that you have to go to the city council meeting and sit down. There's some air conditioner in there, and you need to listen to the decisions that are being made on behalf of your community, and you need to weigh in. If you got a problem with trash on your corner not being picked up, you can call the television station, but you have to call your city council person or the mayor. Somebody, and the reason why I say that is because somebody somewhere is making that phone call, and their trash, there's no trash in their alley. Right. So, but that's a civics lesson. So, that's something that in America we find I believe very difficult to follow up on. Right. A lot of people, I heard some numbers yesterday about the elections in Georgia, very consequential. You got a governor's race, a Senate race, and 6% of voters are undecided. But it's 3 weeks until election day. What are you waiting for? Are you not doing your homework? I mean, make a decision about who you want to vote for. It's about time for you to start deciding. So, we are kind of slow sometimes to get in, to be engaged. We have to be coaxed oftentimes, and I'm talking about Americans in general, to think about being engaged. And, I was a political science major in college, so I'm a nerd, so I'm always engaged. Right. But I think we all have, it's worth saying that we all need to be engaged, and we all need to understand that, it's our responsibility, it's our collective responsibility to, be mindful of the folks that we elect and hold them accountable. Exactly. And you hit a great point. You hold them accountable, and you also have to remember that you have to take the mentality of knowing that you are the person who gave them that job. So thusly, they work for us. It's not, you get in office and they get to just do whatever. No, you have to hold them, like you said, hold them accountable and let them know as easy as it was for you to get into office.
we can make it as easy for you to get out by not voting again.
And I'll say this
for that particular person, not voting. Yeah.
Right. And I'll say this about candidates that I've spoken to, politicians that I've spoken to. They will say, you can hold me accountable. And depending on how you look at that, I think in some cases it's because they're confident enough to know that you won't hold them accountable.
Oh yeah.
But they understand how, a politician certainly understands how things work. They know they're being held accountable, and they know that, they either pass a test or fail a test on election day. They know that. It's no surprise to a politician or an elected official, but many of them know that folks won't do that. They won't take that extra effort and not just hold them accountable on November 8th.
Right.
That's as long as their term goes on. You have to constantly do that.
And you think, and as I think, I'll put it like this: over the years of politics, I mean, politics have been going on since the dawn of time, right? But it's gotten to the point where it's so just dirty, and that it's like most politicians. I have friends who are politicians. I think they're great people, whatever. But most politicians, I would say, I want to put a percentage on it, but let's say it's a high percentage, Troy,
okay,
are like the worst. Like they're like snake salesmen. You know what I'm saying? Like
how do you really feel, man? You seem to be holding.
Oh man, they're the worst. They're the worst because at the end of the day, I think people lose sight of what the job it entails. It's supposed to be for the people, to for progression of your communities, your neighborhoods, whatever. But the main thing, and this is just my opinion, I think that that holds these people to to the point of where they want to continue to do what they're doing is for the green. And at the end of the day, money always is always going to outweigh when it comes to the matter of the heart of what it's supposed to be about for doing work for the people. Because I always I find it to be honest with you, I find it offensive when it's time for elections to come around, and then you start seeing people just popping up at the church, or coming to hang out with sister Lenore, and then Mr. Jimmy and Pastor Jimmy and all that stuff like
Not
that.
Mr. Jimmy.
Yeah, at the seniors luncheon and stuff like that, because they know, if you are about the people, you would be doing this regardless. You know what I'm saying? Not just waiting 4 or 5 weeks before an election to try to, win these people's votes. But again, that's why I don't do politics. That's why I would never want to run per se. Too many skeletons in my closet. But I wouldn't want to do it for the simple fact that I think it would be a deterrent to my integrity. You know what I mean? Because I think for the most part, it's kind of like you're selling your soul to the devil when it comes to that. But some people, that's their thing. That's their knack, and I applaud them for doing it. But I just think, in order for this country, and even for certain cities around the world to get better, we have to have more integrity and just appreciation for politics as a whole. But and
I'll just maybe put a button on that. It still comes down to us, if you wait for a elected official to visit your senior Saturday meeting, you're going to be waiting because there are other people that want to see them too. And you're right. Maybe some of them have a check. Maybe some of them don't. I'm just saying, I'm just putting that out there. You say, I got some people here who you need to see,
right?
Who want some changes to happen in their community. And you have to insist, and you have to make sure. I mean, what is it? The squeaky wheel gets the oil. It's that old analogy that really holds true, because they're going to visit the neighborhood where they know they have constituent support and they know that they have people that are going to back them. But if you don't say anything and you're going to be mad that they didn't come.
Yeah.
So it's something. It's as much as it is them, it's us as well. We have to be active around the clock in terms of who and what we say we need in our communities. That just seems to be, that's the lesson that we're going to have to learn.
Yeah, fact.
Not going to get easier.
No, not at all. It's going to be kind of like pulling the layers back off of an onion. It's going to make you cry, and it's going to make you cry. But you're listening and you're watching the Dope Chats with Stretch. Yours truly, Stretch. You're 6'6" phenomenal, along with my man Troy Johnson, hanging out with me tonight. So Troy, I want to get off the politics because I know you got to get ready to do your broadcast. So let's do some just real quick things in regards to entertainment, brother.
Okay.
Kanye West didn't air the episode that he did with LeBron James show on HBO. He went. Subsequently, he found himself on the drink champs with my good man Noriega. Caused a lot of controversy. What's your thoughts on Kanye? I mean, don't get me wrong. I know mental health is a real thing, but something is off kilter with Kanye, whether he's off his meds or his, whatever the case may be. But thoughts on Kanye?
Well, this is not as a Chicagoan, Kanye is from my hometown. I've had conversations with fellow Chicagoans and about Kanye, about R. Kelly too.
Yeah.
So the heroes aren't the heroes that they used to be. Let's put it that way. Still got Michael Jordan though, but it's difficult because this is not the Kanye that I enjoyed. I was telling a friend of mine about Through the Wire. And I remember just loving that song. And then I heard it many times before I really knew the backstory. And when I realized that this guy's jaw is wired shut, and it was an emotional reaction to the song. Then that's not the same guy that we see right now, for whatever reason. And I think it's problematic that I can't explain what's going on with him, but it seems like this is someone who doesn't have people around him that are really saying, do you understand some of the topics that you're bringing up? And do you understand the impact of what you're saying? And when you're in a situation with, all due respect to Noriega, you're a great rapper, but you may not be the greatest interviewer. Right. And when somebody is saying the kinds of things that he's saying on your platform that you may not have anymore, after that visit with you.
Yeah. And that's the crazy thing about it is such a great, in a sense, platform podcast that I love the idea. It's a wonderful idea, but you put an unstable person on there that jeopardizes your job, a lot of money being lost, and things of that nature.
So we're going to be all right with a guy who may or may not be taking meds. We know he's dealing with some issues, perhaps mental, and we're going to sit around and drink for 2 hours.
Yeah,
the whole thing is messed up, and you are and not having the understanding of what he is saying on your show and that it needs to be challenged. You need to stop him, cut off the broadcast or whatever. Like he didn't do that.
Yeah.
We could go on and on about that. It's unfortunate. I think the things that he said about George Floyd are reprehensible, but this is not the first time that Kanye West has said things that are reprehensible.
Oh, absolutely. And I find it very, I want to use my words very carefully, but I find it to be, how can I put this? Well, let's put it like this. For someone to speak ill of a man who passed away, who was murdered rather, but yet give money to said man's daughter for her college. Gave a lot of money. Gave about what? I think it was like two. I don't know the amount per se, but I know it was a lot of money that he gave towards her college fund. But then to talk ill about her dad like that, I find that to be, like you said.
Well, he's possibly facing a $250 million lawsuit by George Floyd's daughter.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's sad. It's unfortunate. He's going to probably pay a significant price for some of the things he said. And I hope he gets some help, and I hope he, understands the impact. I think people looking to celebrities to have the answers to our social ills. Problems that we have in our country and in our world. If you're solely looking for the answer from so-and-so because they got a dope album that just came out, then you're sadly mistaken. When there are people who are experts and there are people who are working on these issues that have power to do it, so I don't know.
But and it's funny too, because now as we have ventured now into this land in the world of social influencers, TikTok, things of that nature, I think it has deepened the I guess the pool of people getting their information misconstrued or getting it from people who are not qualified to to possess and pass along certain information. And now I feel that the generations that are coming behind us, or that are going to be behind us, or that are already here now, their thought process and their learning process, I think, is just going to be a little bit off kilter, based off of you can get insta famous for saying some outlandish whatever on TikTok. And then you're getting deals from companies like, keep saying outlandish stuff. We like that.
Yeah. But the standard is always going to be the standard, and it's all fun and games until it's not.
Yeah.
So, as a journalist, we are going to fact check. We're going to, get all of the information. Maybe other people don't feel like they have to do that. But again, the backlash comes, the assumption is, in this Noriega situation, for example, is that you did your homework. If you're going to have someone on and do an interview, it's not just about sitting around and talking. It's about what you did tonight, doing some homework, doing some research, having a conversation and getting answers. And, that's the difference between reality, and that's the difference between life. Like the real things that are happening. I mean, just because somebody sticks a mic in front of your face doesn't mean that, whatever goes. It does until it doesn't.
Well, it's people like you, Troy Johnson, with your journalistic integrity that allow this place to be a wonderful, wonderful world, my brother.
But a cog in the wheel, sir. Just cog in the wheel.
Oh man, I enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed it. But we could go on and on, but I know you have to get ready to give the news and do your thing. But you know what, Troy? Here in the good DMV, we have many news stations, and they always, look on, for certain radio personalities to come and, jump on and do a little something. But who's never gotten a call to do any of that, Troy? Me, Troy. And I am pissed off. I'm hurt. I'm befuddled. They run amok on me. I'm an author, Troy. And not only am I a radio personality, but I'm an author, Troy.
You wrote a book, man.
Yes, I wrote a book, and I'm working on my
I've read a few books, but I haven't written one.
Yeah, hey, come on now, come on. And then no one say, oh, hey, let's bring Stretch on so he could talk a little bit of this and see what he thinks. But you know what? It's all good because I know
you need a better PR person.
Man, I am my PR person. I need to hire somebody. Trust and believe. Trust and believe. But I say this, Troy.
Just start running those stacks off, man. That'll get it done.
Hey, man. I guess you might be right. But if the good folks down in Jackson, Mississippi need someone to, jump on and talk about anything, just let them know. I got a guy.
I got you, man. I got you.
I got a guy,
Yeah.
I'm very well versed on many subjects, Troy.
I know you're vegan, man, but I don't know if you can make a little exception for a plate of catfish. You need to come on down, man.
Oh man, hey, I'll enjoy watching it being cooked, but I won't eat it.
Well, then you're gonna definitely miss out.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But we'll find something for you, man. The invitation stands. You need to come down and because I know you got a cousin down here or something. You had to.
I got somebody down there,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
come on, you need to come through.
For sure, man. Well, hey, Troy, thank you again for the time, my brother. I know that you're a very busy man. I know there's a lot going on in Jackson, and have a great show. And thank you again for just being a part of this season premiere of season 4 of Dope.
Season premiere.
Yeah, man, season premiere, brother. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
Ratings just went off to what they're going up, Troy.
I know, and look, shout out to you because you are a true professional. I've seen your growth. I know I said I'm sending an invoice, but you are continuing to grow. We talked about 92Q. We didn't talk about some of the places that we worked at WHUR, at different times, but our paths have crossed in several different places. And, man, I think the world of you. You're a good brother, and just continued success. And whatever you do, I know there's going to be a volume 2 of your book coming out, all that stuff. So just keep on doing it, man.
Hey, thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for your time, man. And let's deliver some good news tonight, Troy. Some good news. Okay?
I will be at 9 p.m. I will Central Time.
Central Time, no doubt. And for those folks out there, Troy, if they do want to catch any of you, what you're doing as far as your news broadcasts and things of that nature, please, now the floor is yours. Plug everything that you're doing.
Well, as you see these call letters over my shoulder, 16 WAPT is the TV station. We're the ABC affiliate here in Jackson. WAPT.com is our website. I'll give you a little insider tip. If you are familiar with an app called NewsOn, NEWSON, you can download that on your phone, on your laptop, on your smart TV, and you can watch local news stations across the country. You can be more informed about what's happening all over the country. I think it's really cool, and it's free. But if you look for our call letters, WAPT, you'll see our shows there, and maybe as many as for any station that you look at, maybe about 2 days of programs. So you could go back and look at our morning shows, our evening shows. I just think it's kind of cool if you're a news junkie like me and you want to know what's going on in North Dakota, or if you want to know what's going on in Utah or Maryland or wherever you might be. It's just kind of a cool thing. But our website, we also stream our newscast there as well. So, I do our 5 o'clock show. I do our 9 o'clock show on MeTV, and, and we also have a YouTube channel as well. So you can see old stories that we posted as well.
Man, I'm proud of you, man. I'm glad to see that you are still soaring. The sky's the limit, as my man.
Got no choice.
You know what I'm saying? Sky's the limit. Yeah, man. But yeah, keep on moving up, man. But congratulations to you, bro. And if there's any young tenderoni news anchors down there, that are looking for a middle age. Well, I'm not middle age just yet, but in the latter part of his 40s,
Okay, you putting it out there tonight.
Tell him I said what's up. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I will.
Yeah, tell him I said what's up.
I will, man. And you meant it too. You can laugh it off all you want. You meant that. I heard it. There was a little sincerity up in there. I heard you. Man.
Hey, man. Nothing like getting the news first thing in the morning.
Breaking news: Stretch looking for a woman in Jackson.
But thanks, Troy. I appreciate you, brother.
All right, my brother.
All right, man. Be safe.
All right, peace.
All right, peace. There it is, y'all. Thanks again for tuning in tonight, man. I appreciate you all. Make sure you come back again next Wednesday, 8 o'clock, for another dope episode of course, Dope Chats with yours truly, Stretch. Until then, be one, be peace, be love.